Welcome to Week in Horror.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The only podcast that will feed your horror need.
The need to feed.
With JL.
Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit.
Eugene.
Somebody has to be the sex symbol, I'm sorry.
Alex.
Shit, I just demonetized this forever.
And Johnny O.
How do you like that shit? Got halfway through the monologue before unmuting myself. Golly, it's one of them fucking days.
With industry guests.
Hi, this is Richard Oakes, Director of Host.
Hey, this is Adam Leader, Director of Host.
This is Matthew Mark Hunter.
I'm Donna Nelly.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And this is Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
News, trivia, and more.
One by one, we will take you.
Join our live show Wednesdays at 7 Central, youtube.com/weekinhorror, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Week in Horror. Stay scared.
All right. The freeze frame. I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
All right. Welcome, horror fans. It's Wednesday, just a tad after 7 p.m. Central, and that means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that's permanently checked into room 237. Man, this is going to be more poignant now than ever. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, you can join us here on the YouTube, on the line for our live shows. So you two can get in on the bloody fun. What are you waiting for? Join us or die. Or just not. I mean, just join us because it's fun. This week we're covering select horror films released May 29th.
I let Johnny write his own lines.
Yes, you did. I'm gonna get beat for all this off the cuff shit. As I was saying, this week we're covering select horror films released May 29th through June 4th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Johnny O, and with me tonight are JL and almost Eugene. He's on his way, I promise.
Yes, he got delayed, but he will be here shortly. But that's okay because he's going to pop up later in the show, so we didn't need him just yet. So
we always need him.
Well, I need him. I need him personally, just like in my life. You know,
yes,
you can't have enough. You can't have enough Eugene in your life.
Never. He's a sex symbol for a reason.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. Well, good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? This has been a wild bit of a week. Lots of stuff going on. Yeah. So much stuff going on behind the scenes that unfortunately we can't talk about. Hopefully soon. I know we keep saying that, and it loses its value every time we say it. But
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to let it be.
Well, yeah, but we have to give people updates. We have to let them know. It's like, eventually we'll be able to talk about these things. Eventually.
We're going to be 90 years old when it happens, but damn it, it's going to happen.
Goddamn right. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on before.
Hey, check out who we have in the old science show. We have our good buddy Haley McQuiston. Look at that.
Well, I haven't gone through the chat list yet, so.
Oh well, I'm saying hi to Haley. How you doing, Haley?
Oh, Haley! Oh, good to see you. Everyone in the live chat, I just found her name in there. She said, "Yo," it says, "Haley, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it." For anybody who is not familiar, Haley handled a bunch of the special effects makeup and the regular makeup on the nail gun short that we created that led to the big events that are taking place, or hopefully will take place very soon. So Haley and she was on the show one time. She was on our show when we had I think the very first episode of season 3.
Yes, she was dressed up as Elvira.
Yep. And she was dressed as Elvira because we were taught we looked back at Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yep.
Which is a super fun little movie.
It is.
So, but yeah, first episode of season 3, Haley hung out with us. That was an absolute blast. And of course, she is a kick-ass makeup artist and special effects makeup artist. So, hello, Haley. Thanks so much for being here. As a matter of fact, you know what? Before we dive into stuff, let's see who else is in the chat tonight. I see Ivy Gentry was first. Ivy says, hello, Ivy. Good to see you. Raven Darkstar as well says, boo, I am totally scared.
Got me.
Hey, Raven, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Travis Brown's in the house, one of our amazing patrons. Thank you, Travis. He says, hey, horror nerds. What's
That's
up, fellow
true.
horror
Yep.
nerd?
That's true. We are nerds.
We are absolute nerds, extreme nerds. I would say fanatics.
They want to do that.
Awesome. Aaron Reese is hanging out in the chat. Good to see you, Aaron. Thank you so much, bud. I hope you're feeling better real soon.
Yeah,
and then
man.
I see, who else we got? Angel Rivera's in the house. Good to see you, Angel. Thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Says, what up? And I see... there's Elizabeth Sylvester, another one of our amazing patrons. Good to see you. Elizabeth says, hello, my friend. Hope yes, we all hope that Aaron's feeling better. We know he's had kind of a feeling icky time, but hopefully he'll be getting better soon. Good to see you, Elizabeth. Thanks so much for being here. Sarcasm's in the house. Good to see you, Sarcasm. Thank you so much for being here, bud. We do appreciate it. Another one of our amazing... What's up?
Fucking Aaron. Such a dick.
I'm scrolling down, so I haven't seen what he actually said yet. All right, and I see Mystique Tina Jones says, peak alert, getting up in 4 hours, so I'll be sleeping ASAP. Well, we appreciate you popping in, Tina. Thanks so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Yes, Aaron Reese says, me, I fucking hate these guys. We are fun. Okay, we are fun, especially when you're around, Aaron.
Hey, we put you on a shirt. We put you on a T-shirt. Your first, season on the show.
Right. Didn't even need to complete a full season before he got to be on a T-shirt.
Right.
A T-shirt solo. Every one of us has all been the group photo. He got his own T-shirt.
Yeah. Never mind the fact that it was alluding to us beating you, but whatever.
What is implied is irrelevant. Is irrelevant to this topic. You come out, we give you a T-shirt, you're looking like the end of the fucking Belko experiment, my friend.
That's right. Not that that's what you're going. Anyway, so hello, everybody.
UKPI is in the house. Good to see you. UKPI says hello, peoples. Hope you're all good. We are doing fantastic. Thanks so much for being here, bud. Claire View is in the house. Says hi, all good to see you, Claire. Thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Joshua Lee as well says hello, Johnny O.
Hey, Joshua Lee, how you doing? Good to see you.
Thanks so much for being here, Josh. And hello, JL. Good to see you, Joshua. Thank you so much, bud. Travis Brown says, I thought it was a Psycho reference. That reference was a Shining reference. Room 237. The room with the rotting naked chick in it that Jack Nicholson makes out with.
237. Go in there.
Rad Rob. So.
Surprise when it like a shut up and go back to bed.
Jinju's in the house. Says hello, everyone. Good to see you, Jinju. Appreciate it. See Haley over there. Thank you. It jumped on me. It does that sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a pain.
Aaron Reese says, Haley, I have a complaint. In Nail Gun, you can see far too much of Johnny's face. Horrifying.
It's like half a second. Gosh.
Chris Durham Music Channel's in the house. Good to see you, Chris Durham Music Channel. Yes, update. We can't say anything yet. This is true. That is the update. Absolutely.
My hand doesn't. Damn it!
We always do it it's like the.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's point up. Fuck.
Oh man. Oh, who else we got in the house? Let's see. I see Skitch Crasher's in the house. Good to see you, Skitch Crasher. I think I saw Sarcasm. Or did I say hi to Sarcasm? Sarcasm and Surf. I always get the two of them mixed up.
Well, hello to you both, just in case.
And if Surf happens to be around, good to see you, Surf. Or if you're lurking, Surf, as you normally are. So, and I see Cindy Johnson's in the house. Good to see you, Cindy. Says hello, guys. Thank you so much for being here, as well as H. Jasper E, one of our biggest fans. Thank you so much, H. Jasper, for hanging out. We do appreciate it. And then, of course, what's Aaron saying now? It says, and my face sold the shit out of that shirt. I'm nothing but a hook to you.
I mean, look. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. NA's in the house, one of our longest and oldest patrons. Good to see you, NA. Thank you so much for being here. Says hi, everyone. Mogwai as well. Good to see you, Mogwai. I love that movie. It brings back memories. Good to see you, Mogwai. We do appreciate it. Yes. Oh, he says he's nothing but a hooker for us. And we're gonna put you out on the corner and sell your ass. That's pretty much what
it's called. Paying your dues.
Yeah, dues must be paid. Enjoy that experience.
It's not hazing if you do it voluntarily.
Enjoy the exposure. That's what we're paying you in. We're paying you in exposure.
Exposure. We're exposing you to all the beatings.
This is true. UKPI asks, where can I watch stream Nail Gun in UK? It's on our YouTube channel.
I don't know. It's not on our YouTube channel, but you can check out the trailer, and I'll put a link in the old chats. Just give me a second. I'll put a link to that trailer here in just a second. I'm not going to say anything other than it's a good trailer. You should check out all of the things in the trailer. There might be some important information somewhere in that trailer.
Right. That's right. Yes, watch the trailer, especially all the way to the end.
Yep.
Very, very important. So we'll just leave it. We'll leave it at that. That's supposed to be some for people to find. And I do apologize. Charlie Welch is in the house. Says ahem. Good to see you, Charlie Welch. Thanks so much for being here, bud. Charlie Welch, an amazing supporter of one of our amazing patrons. You can see his name down there in the banner. There it is, scrolling right across. Boom. And then, of course, the only man on the internet you never make a bet with.
That's true. All right, I just left a link in the old side chats for everybody. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Aaron says, I can expose myself on my own, and no, you can't see the police report.
Sorry, I've already FOIA requested it.
It came up in the background check. Why do you think we hired you?
Right. There's certain things, and then the dogs are going to go crazy. So I'm going to mute.
Okay, so yeah, apparently his dogs are going nuts.
So the second I turn the mute back on, a little bar waiting, like they're waiting for me. I can see you. Press the mute button. All right. Yeah, little fuckers. Yeah. What are we doing? My goodness.
Oh, Anna says, JL, I had a childhood crush on Phoebe Cates back in the early 90s. Who didn't have it? I mean, Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Fucking A. You know what I really enjoy? You know what I liked? You know what I really liked her in? I liked her in Drop Dead Fred.
She was fun in Drop Dead Fred. That was the first movie I saw her in. Believe it or not, was Drop Dead Fred, and then it was all it was going back to like, Jesus Christ, I just lost the movie. Red Bikini.
I can't believe we think we'd remember this.
No shit. Is it Fast Times? Yeah, Fast Times.
Fast Times Original High?
Fucking hell. I can't remember the name of the movie. The Blockbuster one time said that was a movie they had to replace the most because of that scene.
Because it just wore it out. Oh, yes. Let me see here. Charlie Welch. For God's sake, does anybody knock anymore?
No.
Absolutely. And yes, Jinju says, who wants a police report, Aaron? I want the traffic cam footage. Damn Skippy.
All right, well,
Damn Skippy.
Hey,
right.
That's kind of funny that face is there right now.
What face?
That face. I'm
yeah. Yes, it is. It's very apropos, we would say. Look at me with the school words.
I used the big words.
I used the big word today. You'd think I was a rotter or something. All right. So, the big thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if you got it. I know you're crazy busy. I don't know if anybody in the live chat got to see it, but I watched the new Firestarter.
I have heard some things. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
So I'm not gonna spoil anything about it. I'm not gonna spoil anything on it. JL with the $5 words. Yep, absolutely.
Delete $6.
So
yeah, 3 syllables, $3 fillable.
I will say this. I wasn't bored, and I wasn't, but I also wasn't impressed. I will say that some things it did extremely well. Obviously, technology being what it is, and our ability to do special effects of this nature, just the fact that we've gotten so far along,
right,
makes for a really, really entertaining movie. The problem is I'm very familiar with the book, and I'm very familiar with the original, and I did not like some of the changes in this one because it felt too much. Honestly, in my personal opinion, it felt too much like Brightburn. It felt too much like it was slipping towards Brightburn. And that's just me.
That was like the biggest set of criticism that I received, or I got from the people who have watched Firestarter, that they looked at it and said, well, there's too many. Like, it's cool to make some changes to the story because obviously I don't want to just see the book told on screen. It's cool to have the interpretations, but this seems like people were upset with the level of interpretation that went behind it. Some of the changes that, like, baseline to the characters, like what was the little girl's name? I can
Charlie McGee.
Yeah, Charlie McGee wasn't this evil child in the book, in the Firestarter. It was just a kid who had this uncontrollable power at times.
Right.
And they were talking, well, it seems that she is, in the newer one, she's a little more malicious than...
Well, because they gave her anger issues for some reason, I think, to justify when in the original story it's just when Charlie got emotional.
Right.
And being a little girl, or being, actually, sorry, not a little girl, being a child.
Yeah.
Children get emotional, and when they get emotional, because they don't understand things, especially when, like, the evil like government organization is chasing you all over the country in this kind of unstable environment, Charlie would be, was prone to emotional outbursts and paranoia and fear, and scared about losing her dad, and the fact that she lost her mom, and the fact that she's vaguely aware of how damaging her power can be. Right. Because she knows that it hurts people, and she doesn't want to do that. So that makes her upset, and it creates a vicious cycle, and that she hurts more people when she gets,
exactly.
So yeah. And I liked that. I liked what King went for in that, and I liked what they did with and Drew Barrymore was perfect for that.
She
and
was
I think
a cute child.
I think the influence behind this version, this version of Firestarter, was it took a little bit too much from the current climate of superhero films. And I think it just like, people dig this, they like this concept, let's use this concept in this new update, and I don't think that was appropriate to the story. That's just my personal opinion. Some people may dig it. I personally am still more of a fan of the original 1984, even though I still think John Carpenter should have handled it, but I'm more a fan of the original one. And plus, Zac Efron, and it's not that I can't get, like, High School Musical out of my head, it's that even though he can go dark and he can do these things, I can't see him as a father. I can't.
So I never got into the High School Musical thing with Zac Efron, so I didn't have that. I think the first thing I saw him in, like really watched him in, was it Bad Grandpa?
I think with him and
Robert
De Niro.
Robert De Niro, yeah.
Now Robert De Niro was funny as fuck in that.
I thought both of them were really good in that, right? I think the first thing I saw him in was Neighbors, then Bad Grandpa.
Okay.
And that Neighbors, when I saw him, I was like, okay, I can see him. He's this goofy college kid, whatever. And it wasn't until I saw the Ted Bundy tapes not Ted Bundy tapes, but
the Ted Bundy
biopic
film. Yeah.
He was fucking good in that. He was exceptionally creepy, a little too creepy, a little too Ted Bundy in that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this guy some respect. He's got some chops. So I don't know. I'd have to, like I said, I'll sit down and watch Firestarter.
I just know he was good. Everybody in the movie was good.
Yeah.
Like the little girl was solid. Everyone was good in the film. I couldn't just. It was difficult for me to put him in that role. Right.
I know what you're talking about, because Breaking Bad, for me, I could not put, because Breaking Bad came out right on the heels of the end of Malcolm in the Middle, and I could not separate Bryan Cranston, that goofy hapless, I could not, like, going from "Hi, you're the" to "I am the danger." Like, dude, no, stop it. Go get your fucking soccer mom car. Go pick up the kids, you fucking bitch.
I think it's just the way it is. I mean, I know that this version. Oh, I think
there it is.
Sorry about that. I think
it's okay. I made the noise for you.
I think that this version will appeal to today's generation, whereas I think the original Firestarter will appeal to us. It's in no way a bad movie, and it's visually stunning and very, very good. Just the one big thing. Oh, dang it! Will you stop making my sneeze noises? I'm muting myself for a reason.
I know, that's funnier. That's what makes it funny.
Did you say Scooby-Dooby-Doo?
Sort of. It was like a mix of Scooby-Dooby-Doo and the Haruken from Ryu.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I think Travis Brown says, even myself cannot see Bryan Cranston as Zordon from the 2017 Power Rangers film. If you've never seen College Humor and their Zordon is a racist sketch, it is absolutely it's hilarious.
You will be a Yellow Ranger. Wait
a minute. They seem to be lining up. Yeah. I'm from Connecticut, but the something turned.
I mean, when you go back and look at the Power Rangers, it's kind of fucked up how that happened.
It is a little weird.
Black
but
guy,
I will say
Ranger,
this. I will say this. The new Firestarter has me concerned for the Christine remake.
Yeah. I talked about this when we first heard they were going to redo Christine and Firestarter. I said, man, here it comes again.
No.
Everybody was like, oh, Firestarter's going to remake it. And I was like, no, I'm more worried about Christine because we did get the John Carpenter Christine.
We did.
It's perfect the way it is. It does not need to be remade. Nobody has asked for this. Nobody. Okay, don't need to do it. Stop it. Don't remake Christine. Pull the plug, everybody.
I'm a little concerned if they deviate too much in order to try to make the storyline fit with today's kind of cinematic climate and what people are looking for. Now if it goes the Flanagan way and harkens to the original story and maybe plays a little bit into the shared universe, but only a tiny bit, and doesn't make the film inaccessible. I like that. I like that a lot.
I don't want any shared universe.
None whatsoever?
I don't want a King multiverse. I know we already have one, right? We've already got one. They're all interconnected from Castle Rock all the way to It to Christine. All that shit's intertwined, interconnected. 1922, yes, but the 1963, whatever the JFK one, yes. I mean that, but still, that's all that we need. It's just like, oh yeah, did you hear about those kids in Derry? That's it. That's all we need. I don't want a King multiverse. Fucking MCU have to go and ruin it for everybody else. Let MCU do their thing. You don't have to copy them.
Right. So I see Mr. Malord has joined us all the way from Chicago. Good to see you, Mr. Malord. Also another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much for being here, bud. And NANA says, Johnny O, what? Breaking Bad is one of the best TV shows ever.
I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm saying I couldn't get into it because I could at the time, right? At the time that it first came out, I could not separate that character. Wow. Bryan Cranston was just that goofy dad from Malcolm in the Middle. He was great in Malcolm in the Middle. It was so funny, and he's a great actor. Don't get me wrong.
He's a phenomenal actor,
yeah. I just couldn't separate it. Like me, that's a me thing, right? So that's not saying that it was a bad show or he was terrible in it. I just couldn't. I would just look at him and laugh and giggle. Let's see here. Malcolm in the Middle's dad grew up to become a fucking meth dealer. That's kind of funny.
Charlie Welch says, I'm a fire starter. Twisted fire starter.
Have you seen that without music?
I have not.
It's so fucking funny.
I have to check that out. Aaron Reese says, these remakes are about as good as about as good an idea as renewing your vows. If you didn't fuck it up the first time, then you should just leave it alone.
On that note, I better go renew.
Charlie Welch's 11/22/63 is one of my favorite books ever. It was really good. Yeah,
really good one. One of the few King novels that actually ends really well.
Right. And NANA says Christine was great. Please don't fuck it up. That's the hope, But now, even though Firestarter wasn't bad, it wasn't a bad movie. Yeah, exactly. It may just be that I'm a fan of the old one and I'm more familiar with it and I'm familiar with the book. I don't know. I just don't know. But at least I can say this. The cast did not do their best to replicate the performances of the cast before them. It wasn't like she was trying to do her best Drew Barrymore. It wasn't like they were trying to copy anything. At least they did that, which was really, really good. Because ultimately, that's what killed Superman Returns. That and terrible writing, terrible plot, terrible everything else. Yeah. But then, of course, the acting on that. Let's do our best Gene Hackman. Let's do our best Christopher Reeves. At least try to make it your own.
Joshua Lee, yes. Answer your question is yes. 1974, they had the Terminal Man, film.
Yep.
How good is it? Could that one be remade? I think so.
You should watch Malcolm in the Middle. It is actually quite funny.
You know what? Especially now that your introduction to Bryan Cranston, I'm not sure if it was, but if your introduction to Bryan Cranston was Breaking Bad, that's like watching A Few Good Men, and that being your introduction to Jack Nicholson, and then watching fucking Anger Management. You can't handle the truth.
It was his facial expressions in the cards, like la 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 la, and then just Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I always tell people, if you want to get a really good idea of how good Jack Nicholson is, you need to watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, A Few Good Men, and Anger
Management.
Anger Management.
Yeah.
Watch those 4 films.
I see Eugene is in here just in time because Aaron Reese said Eugene needs to get his ass on stream. I'm off the goddamn clock here.
You know, I got to be fashionably late.
Absolutely. As the sex symbol, you're entitled to do so.
Entitled.
Absolutely.
30 minutes.
And Charlie Welch says, Goose Fraba.
So funny in that role. He's so funny.
Commander Darklight's in the house, another one of our amazing patrons. Thanks so much for being here, Commander Darklight. We do appreciate it. Charlie Welch, you are correct. He was excellent and As Good as It Gets with Helen Hunt. Yep. That was a great movie. And UKPI says, just watched Nail Gun and was very impressed. Well done, guys. We can't wait till we can do the full-size version, because what you saw was the short. So, yeah.
Yes. We've been working to try to get that made. That's our goal.
Yes.
So very
All
good.
right. So,
hopefully Eugene has some things to tell us in the after show. Look at us, damn it!
You never know. Maybe. I also want to take this opportunity to remind everybody in the live chat this month. We celebrate our 30th Bloodbath debate. Number 30. We've been doing this 30 months of Bloodbath debates. And this next one is going to be huge. It is going to be our first Royal Rumble, our first Battle Royale. Royal Rumble probably get me in trouble. But our first Battle Royale. And it will be killer kids in movies. So the horror icons, everyone with Week in Horror. And that it's me, Eugene, Johnny O, Alex, Aaron, and Angela will all be representing their own horror icon. And we are going to be doing the event live on YouTube. I will schedule that up. You'll see it hit your notifications when we go live, and we're going to bring on a couple of special guest judges from the Patreon to come and pretty much suss out who wins this one, because it's going to be, all of us against one another.
No, this is going to be the easiest debate win you've ever had.
I'm expecting a massacre.
I don't know about that.
You keep downplaying the fact that you got Damien out of all. Look, I got Mikey.
You haven't watched the movie yet.
I don't need to watch the movie.
Yes,
Mikey
you do. You need to watch the movie.
Mikey is not the son of Satan.
Damien doesn't have any powers.
He doesn't need powers.
Tell it to the babysitter.
Right.
Anyway, but we want to remind everybody that the Bloodbath debate is going to be May 29th. It's going to be Sunday. So look for that update. Look for that update to come to the notifications so you can come and join us live and see us do a live Bloodbath debate. See all the cool things that we do in order to set it all up, and you get to see how they are made. Instead of just listening to the audio after the fact, now you get to see us do it live here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to show everybody something, because this recently just hit the wire before we kick in.
Before you do that, Josh Lee asks a very important question about the Bloodbath. Who are the kids?
Oh, yeah.
Who got which kid?
The kids on the list that will be a part of the Bloodbath debate is Johnny O will be representing Mikey from the horror movie Mikey, the 10-year-old psychopathic serial killer. Alex will be representing Henry from The Good Son, another little serial killer, or budding serial killer, before he met the power of love and friendship in Elijah Wood.
And a cliff.
And a cliff, yeah. So I will be representing Damien from The Omen. Eugene has got
about that at all. Did you?
Yeah, Eugene has got Esther from from Orphan.
I'm sorry.
And Aaron has got Rhoda from The Bad Seed, who herself is also a little serial killer. And Angela has got Isaac from Children of the Corn.
See, I feel like the two like demon wielding. There's a fix in here somewhere.
No, because Isaac doesn't have any powers either. He is the Joel Osteen. He is the Kenneth Copeland.
Who walks between the rows, motherfucker.
but he who walks between the rows, it was actually, if you're a Stephen King fan, he who walks between the rows he who walks behind the rows is actually Randall Flagg in another form. But he doesn't actually give Isaac any power.
He didn't. You know what? You better stop before we get off track.
I'm just saying, like, out of all the kids, who are you more scared of?
Right.
You know who's scared of Esther? No one.
Nobody.
just kick that bitch in the face.
Yeah. I kick her in the face. Well, there goes my argument.
Yep.
Okay, no. I tell you honestly, of all the kids on the list, I would be, of all of them, I would be the most scared of Mikey.
Fuck off.
I'm telling you, watch the damn movie. Watch the movie. And Aaron Reese says, that's a lot of dead kids. I'm not saying that.
That's so fucked.
That's fucked up. That's so fucked up. I'm not even going to finish that line. That's twisted as fuck. So before we jump into tonight, the stuff tonight, I have something that I want to share with everybody. I don't know if you guys saw this, but we're gonna watch it real quick. So check this out. The teaser trailer for Prey just dropped.
Oh, I saw this.
And we're gonna check it out right now.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a good shot.
I did like 10 Kill Code.
See, that's just not fair. At least in the first one, they had Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking Jesse the Body Ventura and all these fucking jacked motherfuckers.
And in the second one, they had Danny Glover.
In the second one, they had Danny Glover and
Danny Glover with a really big handgun.
Yeah, my goodness, carrying a 357 Magnum with a scope on it. Like, why the fuck do you need a scope on your Magnum? What the fuck? Just point and shoot. That motherfucker take care of everything. But yeah, and
Predators versus Native Americans.
Right. You guys get a bow and arrow.
Good luck.
and it's not a movie. It's premiering on Hulu.
Yep.
See, I would want to see something like that in the theater, though.
Right?
Okay, you come over to my house. I'll show you my theater.
Deal.
And Joshua Lee says the font gave it away. Actually, I would say the targeting reticle is what gives it away.
Not to mention the mouth breathing, I can snore while awake thing.
The clicking. So I'm very curious.
CPAP. Come on.
I'm seriously curious. I don't know. The very little details have been released about this, but that was the teaser, and I think it should be. I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be good. But of course, we'll be waiting for it. So yes, a new entry in the Predator franchise, going back to the past, and of course, Predator versus Native Americans. Maybe
Danny was too old for that.
Joshua, you mean Billy?
No. Commander Darkness says Danny was too old for that. Can you talk about Danny Glover?
Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too old for this shit. You know?
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah.
And Joshua Lee says, "Come on, dude, kill me! I'm here.
Kill me!
What are you waiting for?
Come on, kill me!" Then when he walks around the trap, and he's just like, "Oh, damn!" It's like, "Oh shit!" The look on Schwarzenegger's face was priceless. Like,
but that was part of his plan.
But still, the fact that he had him there, and then he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna walk around the trap," and he was like, "Shit."
Everything about that movie where he takes a log and hits the Predator, and the Predator just blocks it, and it's like, bad idea.
Bad. Oh yeah, when he hits it with the log, just boom.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Just kidding that he gets fucking mollywopped. Oh, I absolutely love it. Oh, it's like, oh shit.
Yep.
And it was such a better choice. Instead of trying to go fast, instead of doing speed versus strength, they just went, fuck this. Don't do something faster than Schwarzenegger. Do something bigger than Schwarzenegger. Something really is like, and that's why I think that movie worked, especially for 1986, having something bigger and more powerful and just nastier than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, the dude was Conan, and so forth. So yeah, he was Hercules, and no, the alien's gonna whoop his ass. Just slap him around like a bitch. And Mr. Malort would like you to know it was a double Eagle 44 mag in Predator 2. Or Desert Eagle 44 mag. Desert Eagle 44 mag in Predator 2 with a scope.
Didn't I say it was a Magnum?
No, you said it was a 357.
357 Magnum, yeah. It doesn't matter. You're shooting a fucking truck, okay? The board is the size of a truck. You don't need a goddamn scope.
Travis Brown says then the next one, Predator versus Caveman. And then Aaron Reese says Predator versus 5 monkeys with sticks.
I get the reference.
All right. So, yes. So I wanted to check out show you guys the Prey teaser, and I thought, hear what y'all thought about it. We're all cautiously kind of interested. Joshua Lee says Predator versus the Primordial Ooze. Predators versus dinosaurs. That would be good.
That's how we got humans, though. No, wait, that wasn't Predators, aliens. Never mind. Scratch that.
That's the black ooze. That's the black ooze.
Yeah, that's a different. That's technically, I guess, same universe, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to go on too long about that. Triggered Limey's in the house. Good to see you. Triggered Limey says, hello, you beautiful bastards. Good to see you, Triggered Limey. Thanks so much for being here. As is Diagnosis Horror, a.k.a. Nerd Journals in the house. Is Predator versus Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Yes!
I would pay so much good money to see that. And you throw in like Chris Pratt and Ian Malcolm and stuff like that.
So long as Chris Pratt gets eaten.
I'm fine with that.
Not that
I would pay money. I'd pay money to see Predator versus dinosaurs. And then, of course, so we got a bunch here. Predator versus Monkeypox, Predator in Jurassic Park 7, Predator versus Ewoks versus Shrek, and
Ewoks all the way.
Ewoks all the way.
Yeah.
And you realize, it brought up to me, that at the end of Return of the Jedi, when they're all celebrating, the Empire's been defeated, and they're doing the party in the little Ewok village, there are the remnants of Stormtrooper, like, their armor and stuff. They're using like the helmets as like drums and shit like that.
Yeah, it's a xylophone.
They ate those stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Ewoks are carnivorous.
Yeah.
I mean, they were about to eat the heroes.
This is true. This is true.
Actually, another movie I would I would love to see a movie where the Ewoks hunt the rest of the stormtroopers.
Like mercenary Ewoks.
I mean, like, it's like, boom, the Death Star blows up, and they see it blow up, and so they're like, now they're stranded on this planet. Maybe from like a stormtrooper perspective.
Yeah.
And like now they're
that would be
on
a great
planet,
horror movie.
No help. And the Ewoks know they're there, so they came to finish them off.
That would be a great horror movie. Like
That'd
the
be
last Stormtrooper battalion is left, and there's only a few, and they get slowly picked off one by one, all super stealth style. Man, that would be so good.
The Ewoks.
I got goosebumps.
All right. Okay. So we got some movies to jump into tonight.
Yep. What do we got up first?
Yes. Let's kick this off. So, whoops. You know what? I totally screwed up. I don't have my notes up.
Haley,
that's such a good transition.
Haley brings up a good point. I think she's a little behind in the show, but she brings up a good point. Says Esther wasn't a kid.
Esther, that's what. Okay, a lot of them have that. That's the whole thing. She was posing as a child, and she has the physicality of a child.
Then I want to trade mine in for.
All of them have their little things that give them an edge. But that's the whole point, is that Esther cannot hold her own in a straight up fight with an adult.
Yeah, she's got the body of like a 10-year-old.
She's got the body and the physicality of a child. Yeah. So she may have the mind. She's got the mind of an adult, but the body of a child. So she's stuck there. Everyone's got their little edge. but you can get around those edges if you think about it.
You can get around those edges if you're the son of Satan.
Anyway, so I'm not I'm not saying that I'm going to win this. In fact, I think I'm going to lose this bloodbath debate. I really do. We're going to find out.
Oh, I'll organize a trade right now.
Anyway, all right, so
movies, what do we got, JL?
Yes, the first one we're going to talk about tonight released May 29th, 2009, and it is the Canadian horror film Pontypool. Let's check out this trailer.
Interesting name.
It is an interesting name.
Wow.
This is Radio 660, The Beacon. I'm Grant Mazzy, and as always, I'll be taking no prisoners. And taking a look outside, a big, cold, freaking kill me now weather front that'll last all day. We go to Ken Loney in the Sunshine Chopper. Ken, are you there, Ken?
This building has just exploded. Oh my God! Hundreds of people are getting killed down there.
Soldiers have set up roadblocks.
Everybody has to stay inside at all times. They cut into our signal.
Oh God! They're pulling 2 people out of a van.
Down by the river.
Ken?
And their eyes. He's looking at me.
All right, that was the trailer for Pontypool. So, Pontypool, directed by Bruce McDonald, screenplay by Tony Burgess, based on Pontypool Changes Everything by Tony Burgess, and starring Stephen McHattie, Lisa Hewell, Georgina Riley, Hrant Alianak, Rick Robertson, Boyd Banks. This film follows, for those who haven't seen it, this film follows a shock jock kind of like on his last leg, who's been hired by a small Canadian radio show to host their morning show, their morning traffic show. And it's kind of like his last opportunity because he's been kicked off of or fired from every show before. And so he brings his usual kind of shock jock persona there and then begins a normal day right into the middle of some sort of very, very weird viral outbreak. And of course things get insane. But the movie this was a very interesting film, and I will say I am kind of bummed that I put off watching this movie for so long because I looked at the name Pontypool and it didn't strike me, and then I looked at like the images and I was kind of like, okay, I like Stephen McHattie. I've always been a fan of Stephen McHattie, but it just something wasn't grabbing me until eventually this came up and I was like, you know what? Actually, I watched it a few weeks before and I sat down and I was like, and I was bored and I was watching the dogs and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch this movie. And holy shit, I was deeply, deeply impressed. The key point, the writing on this, because it really is a minimalist horror.
Yeah, this was something I really enjoyed this movie because actually at first I thought, I was like, oh, well, some like radio show and then it's like a zombie outbreak or something. That's kind of what I went into it. And the thing is it's not zombies. It's not zombies at all. And the thing is I won't go into too much detail in terms of like the infection process, but you always figure zombies, oh, well, they bite you or something like that. And it was something that is like, oh, well, if you don't get bitten, you're okay. But this is something that you couldn't avoid. And it was something you didn't necessarily have to have contact to get infected. And that's what makes it more scary because there's really nothing you can do as it spreads. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It all takes place in one radio station. And one of the things that really impressed me was the fact that it mainly takes place in one radio station and they're able to pull out enough shots to keep you interested because it starts off with like a 15-20 minute radio show.
Yep.
Right.
And the variety of shots, the excellent camera movement. I really enjoyed the way it was lit, and it keeps you entertained and it keeps you engaged the entire time. In terms of the characters, you only really have the three people who work at the radio station, and then a doctor that appears like halfway through, and that's
don't discount the Chopper guy, because he's
and phenomenal voice work.
Yeah,
I was fixing to get into it.
Right.
With the Chopper. And the thing is, you can really feel with the Chopper, and then I think it was like Ken, the other guy who worked at the station.
Yeah.
Like he was like the station manager or something, which you never see him, but you hear him. He calls into the show. But they're really able to paint a word picture on what's going on outside without actually showing anything.
Doesn't feel like exposition.
Exactly. As it's getting more information, as it's moving forward, it's not exposition-y. It's not force feeding you. There's even some misinformation because they don't really know what's going on.
Right.
And it's just excellent moments.
Yeah.
The strength in this this is where and see, Mr. Malord brings up Airheads was filmed in one station, and you're right, but there was so much more to what was going on, because in that movie, oftentimes you left the station to deal with the cops outside, to deal with varying situations around. In this particular movie, everything is set within the confines of the station. There are maybe 2 shots that are outside, and the difference is because it's so early in the morning, it's nothing but dark outside. So it's just like when he's Stephen McHatton's character is driving into the station, it's dark and it's snowing because it's 6 a.m. or he's getting ready to go on to a 6 a.m. show, so it's still dark out. And he's driving up and it's snowing outside, and that's it. Then he gets inside. Then we have literally 3 spaces. We've got the recording booth, we've got the producer's booth, and then we have the hallway that kind of like leads out of the station. That's it. It's a tiny little broadcast center. And then for them to be able to move between the 3 locales and really give us so much depth for 3 very small rooms, and it's all in the, and from what I saw, it's all in the cinematography, it's all in the angles and how they play that, because every angle reveals a little bit more, because as we get further and further into it and the characters are driving the story, because it's very character driven, it's extremely well written, the action, what we see, it reveals the space. Every single new cut or the new way of looking at it reveals more about our characters by revealing more of their workspaces, which I found to be really, really interesting. And you're right. All of the ADR work, everything coming in, whether it was misinformation or it's like panicked information, they're only getting bits and pieces, doesn't feel like exposition, and it legitimately feels like you could be listening to this as like a broadcast. And I really, really love that. And that's where the minimalism plays to this. And for anyone, even though it doesn't get super gory and doesn't get, like, out of this world, I mean, there are a couple of really gross moments, but it's an intriguing premise that will grab you just because it's got that slow burn and that minimalist effect that they maximize their use of with really, really smart camera work, some fantastic ADR, and some stellar fucking writing. So Eugene brought up a point that it's not a zombie flick, but it really is, right? I think it's kind of along the lines of like The Signal, The Signal or Cell, something of that like that.
Yeah, I mean, but if we break it down, it's an infection movie. People are attacking people because they're infected. How they get infected, right? The particulars, like the specifics. I mean, ultimately, when we're looking at it, it is a zombie film, so to speak, at the very meat and potatoes of it. But it's a minimalist infection style film, we'll call it, so we don't call it a zombie film, which is very difficult to do. Because what are the, like, if you look at all infection, like the Crazies, 28 Days Later, what do all those films have in common? You see the infected.
Right.
Those are big features in the film to help drive the suspense and the fear. Whereas in this movie, you don't get a whole lot of that.
You know what I saw? Now that you bring that up, a major component of zombie films is typically people getting cornered into small spaces and getting trapped. You don't want to get trapped. You don't want to get surrounded. You don't want to get cornered. You don't want to wind up in a small space because then you're stuck. And so when you're stuck in that small space and you're in this bad environment, that's the worst. But this one was almost the reverse, because you have people who go to work and it's their natural environment to be in this small confined space. An interesting aspect of McHattie's character, of the character of Grant Mazzy. And Stephen McHattie was so good in this fucking role. The way he played both his on-air persona and his off-air persona, juxtaposing them together was just fantastic. And the wonder of this is that you're in the middle of this epidemic, or this infection that's spreading and is wildly out of control. You hear about barricades being broken down, people going insane, tearing each other apart and everything. You're only getting this information, and he is most comfortable when he is in that tiny little booth.
Right. Well,
he's in that enclosed booth. It's his home, right? Yeah. So
if you think about it, when you work a job, you spend more time at work than you do at home. I mean, if you just realistically, like most people go home to go to sleep,
right?
And they get up and go back to work, right? So they spend most of their waking time at work. So that's where he's going to feel the most comfortable. And you're right. This is kind of a reverse from, like, oh, we got to get from the, we're in this big open spaces and now we're confined. Now I was like, no, we want to start confined, small space.
Right.
By the way,
the fear.
First-time caller, long-time listener, Alex Someone. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh, Alex Someone, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. And I dug that. Instead of trying to get, instead of, because in zombie films typically you have people trying to find places to hide,
right,
and then those get overrun, and they have to, and then they try to find the next place to hide. Whereas in this place, they're starting off in the place to hide. That's where they're most comfortable, and it's all about, because every time they get closer to the outdoors, they get more they get more vulnerable and more nervous. And things get more intense. And then they get, when he's sitting in that booth, especially when they got the door locked and everybody's just sitting there, he's in control. The minute they push him out of that, it's like, I don't know what to do. It's right. Like, I'm not in my element. And I love that reversal. And like I said, it's a very, like I think someone in the live chat stated very well, that Diagnosis Horror, the movie is well written, well directed, well acted, and well shot. It's just a really smart horror movie with a modified zombie style. Yep. And that's what made it so intriguing. And now I look back, and the idea of Pontypool, and I actually had to look that up. For those who are unfamiliar, Pontypool was written by Pontypool Changes Everything, which was basically about how a plague causes people to slip into aphasia, is essentially what it is. And it centers around... it centers around kind of like how language can be viral in that respect, and certain words become infectious and spread through audible communication. Mm-hmm. In this particular one, it's the English language, which I found in his Pontypool series is really, really intriguing. But I really, really dug the concept here, and of course, hopefully, there was kind of like a mirror movie, and this is what made it weird. This was so surreal. Is because it hasn't Charlie Welch, I'm sorry. Predator versus Jesus, don't cross him. Anyway, so that just made me laugh.
10 points.
So and there's a mirror kind of movie called Dreamland, which came out, which is kind of like a weird, same cast playing different characters, different kind of situation. It's really, really strange. It's kind of weirdly connected to Pontypool. Not 100% sure, but nonetheless, this one was a really, really solid one. And there's supposed to be a sequel coming up called Pontypool Changes, which is currently in active development. Although not a lot of details are out about that. So,
they waited a good while, so
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's plenty of time.
Yeah.
But I did like the connections to, like, the inspirations from Orson Welles' radio broadcast of War in the Worlds. Sure. I dug that kind of thing because when the news breaks, all of a sudden people are coming to them, this tiny little radio show, to get more information. He suddenly finds himself in kind of like the Orson Welles seat, where he's the person who has the most information, even though he himself is not certain of that information. Yeah. Right. It's kind of like, well, we don't know, so we got to kind of go with what we got. And then this was interesting, and I think this was kind of commentary, because everyone else, all the journalists around, were coming to them for the scoop, because they were the first ones to hear about it. They're coming to them for the scoop, but they don't know. And then they get to sit back and give this scant information to everyone else, and then they get to turn around and hear that kind of like twisted in order to fit that. They're like, that's not what we said. That's not what was meant. That they're trying to fill in for giving out misinformation. So we get to see the spread of misinformation and how that itself can become viral. There was a lot going on in this fucking movie.
Yeah, Eugene, you were starting to say something a second ago.
Yeah, so one thing I've noticed when it comes to zombie movies, especially movies that focus on the outbreak at the very beginning, because zombie movies are so much alike, I always felt like I had more information than the characters. Because then all of a sudden one character gets bit and he turned a zombie, and like, oh my god, I didn't expect that. And you've seen a zombie movie like, oh, he's gonna turn. Oh, this is gonna happen. Like it was, you just see that so often in the zombie genre. It was really nice to come across a movie where Johnny was talking about like the infection and how it's an infection movie, how I legitimately didn't know how it spread. So it put me in the dark, and it put me in the situation of them in the radio broadcast, because I didn't have any more information than what they had.
Right.
And that's what really helped sell the movie.
Yeah, it really did. It really, and it helped enhance that. So in minimalist horror, the most important part is getting you invested in the characters, and because that's where the story happens, is within the characters. And this movie does a great job of making you focus on the characters, because, like Eugene said, we want to know what's going on. Like JL said, where do you generally went to trusted news sources for that kind of thing, and this just happens to be one that's still broadcasting. So that's what draws not only the fictional people in the story, but it brings the audience in and to focus on these characters, because that's what we're going to focus on. Like we want to be invested in what's going on with these people, because they're the ones giving us the information. It's not like, in Dawn of the Dead, where, we know what's going on with zombies and whatnot, so we don't really need the characters aren't there to give us a story. They're there to give us, the action and the thrills. Whereas in this film, these characters have to give us a story, and we have to be invested in what's going on. So yeah, it's a really good way to drive that narrative.
I really dig it. I think a lot of people will really, really enjoy this one. Apparently, some people have some issues with my nerdy rants. Apparently, and I promise I'll try to ease. I'll try to ease back on the nerdy rant so that other people can get a word in edgewise.
They're all here to hear your nerdy rants. Look.
Aaron Reese says J.L. Warren's Church of the Holy Horror.
Everybody here, okay, so here it is. I figured this out.
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah, brothers and sisters. J.L. Warren will be on stage soon. But before we get there, allow me to present to you the wonderful and sex symbol-y Eugene Hawkins. That's why people watch, right? Eugene's a sex symbol. He's cool.
Yeah,
He's got that, right? They listen to me because they want to hear me bah humbug them the whole fucking time, right? Nobody wants to hear me say, yeah, this is a good movie. I really like it. Like, no, fuck that movie, you fucking hated it, and tell us why you hated it. They listen to Aaron because Aaron's got this quiet intelligence about him. Don't tell him I said that. They listen to Alex because Alex has got that kind of like that goofy nature that's really down to earth and cool to listen to, because he's got like that. Alex is a person you listen to because he sounds the most like you did whenever you were just a fan. You know what I mean? He's got really good things to say, and the way he says them is like he's I could speak to that guy. He doesn't sound like he's trying to be my farts don't stink. You know what I mean? Whereas JL. Every now and again we have to remind JL that yes, your farts do stink.
they do. That's why I'm in the office alone. Angel Rivera, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Says Eugene is so sexy he pole dances at the Holy Horror Church. Yes, he does.
You got to pay the bill somehow.
Got to pay them bills. So but yeah, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this one. I know Johnny. I know you were gonna like this one because the minimalist style that it makes use. It makes use of so much, and definitely anybody who is a burgeoning filmmaker, take an opportunity to check this movie out. Not only is the acting,
yeah, it's a masterclass in how to tell a good story.
Yes, absolutely. strong writing, strong acting, and how to make the most of a very, very small space. So I really, really enjoyed this one. I want to ask the audience, brings us to the audience, given that this is a viral style movie, so it is kind of zombie-like, you know, some people call it a kind of a low-budget zombie film. I really think it's more of a viral shirt. Oh, sorry, I said shirt because Aaron Reed said shirt there. I think it's more of a viral horror. Sorry, he said I just gave you your own shirt, which I'm not sure. I think it's the flipping people off. I'm not sure.
No, I think it's Sparks.
Which one? Oh, Church of Holy Horror?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I consider this more of a viral horror. So I want to know, you in the audience, you in the live chat, what is your favorite viral style horror? Whether it's something like The Signal going out, like The Signal or Cell, or if it's, you know, some sort of virus, or, you know, if it's a, you know, something of that nature, like if it's a disease or plague. What is your favorite viral style horror? Let us know in the live chat or down there in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com. All right, Eugene, you have our Oscar winner.
I feel like this is 2 weeks in a row he's giving you this shitty movie.
It's not so much the
What really? This isn't the shitty movie. Is there another movie worse?
Wait, no, Eugene, you're doing the script in reverse. That's at the end of this one.
So Travis Brown says Train to Busan. Excellent choice. Fantastic. Trigger to Limey said 2020. He ain't lying. He ain't lying at all. Sarcasm says The Crazies. Either version. Both fantastic. Yes. Aaron Reese says The Happening. Best nap of my life. And Tony Regime says, does Andromeda Strain count? Yes, it does.
Yep.
The Andromeda Strain does count. So excellent choices. Fantastic. So yeah, Eugene, take us away, man.
So
Farm, where life
we
is
have a series of pictures put together in a certain order. And they call this order Track of the Moon Beast, which was released June 1st of 1976.
should have been April 1st.
Is there even a trailer for this movie?
Let's check out the. There is a trailer for it.
Sort of.
Let's check it out.
The National Aeronautics and Space Agency quotes officials as saying that the asteroid now entering our portion of the solar system poses no threat to Earth.
A freak meteor shower spawns a killer man monster.
You've got a scratch or something on your forehead.
He's being struck by light that comes down from the sky. Whatever struck him from the sky changed him completely from human form. He became a demon lizard monster.
A beast of ancient legend runs amok, and only Indian magic can halt its rampage.
Are you going to try and stop it with a bow and arrow?
Not with just any arrow, Mac.
The myths of the Native American warn the unwary. When the night is dark and the moon is high, no man dares to follow the track of the moon beast.
Half that trailer was the end of the movie.
It was like the end of the movie.
Because they had nothing else.
The whole sequence with him firing the bow and arrow and the whoop 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 whoop. That was literally the end of the movie. Woo! Johnny couldn't even watch it. Johnny had to step away.
All right. Oh. Track of the Moon Beast. Directed people.
Just give him the names.
Directed by Richard Ashe, starring Chase Who Cares, Leah shouldn't have been in this movie, and Giorgio, I Made an Accident. What this movie is this is basically a werewolf movie, except it's not even a wolf, he's a lizard. because it's a full moon and he turns into a lizard. And I have this theory that the entire basis of the movie was because the Indian wanted to sleep with the girlfriend.
Really?
Because if you think about it, the Indian guy goes, hey, why don't you check this rock in and go study it? Because the main guy's a geologist and gets infected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you notice, he's always hanging around her and he's like being cuddly with her and all this other kind of stuff. Like they hold hands even at one scene while like her boyfriend, the infected guy, is still alive. And then at the very end, he conveniently has an arrow that kills the boyfriend. He's like, oh, it's a moon. I have a moon arrowhead. And he shoots and kills. And then he hugs her and takes her away.
That's true. Yeah, in her like nearly catatonic state, and she like throws her in the car, and then they like drive off. It was,
yeah, that is my theory for the film.
That's intriguing. I kind of dig that. I kind of see it that the Indian dude had, or the Native American dude had ulterior motives.
Are we done with this one yet?
Not yet.
All right, be back.
So I think what got me was you look at the monster, the monster sequence, and of course it's a lot of even the Gorn in Star Trek looked better than this motherfucker, and because there was a lot of this, especially when he rips into the tent and they try to do like this, he's like gets in the tent where he's going to kill a bunch of guys who were playing poker in a tent in the middle of nowhere. I'm not 100% sure why, but he busts in there.
Where you play poker,
and all I could see was like that. I can't see in this fucking costume. That's all I can see is when he's like I'm blind. It was so okay. It was incredibly the film in and of itself is incredibly bad. But we're gonna dive into that. But this originally this film had a very and a really actually kind of a troubled production. So, which may explain some of what you see. But I have my own theory as to why we see what we see in this movie.
All right, before you give it to us, let us say a few things so we break up the monotony of hearing JL's voice to appease the... I'm just teasing, JL. Go ahead.
So the weirdest thing that got me about this one, the first thing that struck me when I pulled this up and pulling the notes up on it and everything, this fucking movie was written by Charles Sinclair and Bill Finger. Anybody who's a comic book fan should recognize that second name as the co-creator of Batman.
Batman, yeah.
So...
Bill Finger.
I was like... Kane gave him the finger. So, I thought that was weird. That it was odd that this movie came out of that. But at first, on its face, yeah. But then you think about it. You think about the context of the movie in and of itself. It's very comic booky in how it's laid out. As a matter of fact, I would actually say that if you took this script would actually translate better to a comic book and how it lays out visually in certain aspects and how the dialogue plays out. This shit is legit like a comic book turned into a movie.
Even
directly from the comic book itself.
Look at the theatrical release poster. Look at the poster for the film. It looks like a comic book.
I mean,
that almost looks like some like Boris Vallejo shit, to be honest.
I mean, at least we won't have to sit through underexposed shots for half a movie.
And I thought that's why I think it didn't translate extremely well. Is that the person? Not to say that Bill Finger was a bad writer. Bill Finger is a legend in comics, but this just goes to show that Bill Finger was he wrote comics. He didn't write screenplays. That was the biggest issue. So if you like plan this out as like a one shot, just like Track of the Moonbeast, like one of the old pulp sci-fi comics that you would see like back in Bill Finger's day,
right?
The things that just hit the newsstands like once every month. This would make sense, and you could see this from panel to panel to panel, and you could see it in that format. I think it works there. This is stuff that you'd find in like the old Strange Tales and shit like that. But trying to make a movie out of this. Yes, Triggered Limey, you're correct. This is one finger that they shouldn't have pulled. Yes, wrote it no less name. Just said would have made a decent single issue of Strange Tales or something of that nature.
This would have been great as a 25 to 30 minute quick little short film type thing, but as a feature.
And that was just it. It was a lot of moments when like all the weird moments of the lead actress of what's her name of Lee Drake, like putting Chase Cordell's character, putting him to bed, like acting like a mother. So if you look at these moments, look at them as single snapshots. Take one frame out of that and then put the dialogue bubbles in there, and I think that's what makes it work. And otherwise, as a movie, trying to add more to this, and then you're forced to put an exposition. That's why the timing is so bad. That's why that's so atrocious. Now, given how it could have worked, and how it probably did work as like a story in like Strange Tales or Astonishing, or like Amazing World or Amazing Tales or anything like that, or Amazing Stories. Given
that was
given
cool with the plane and the wheels.
Absolutely,
drew the wheels on it and it landed.
Yes. Yeah. So given that. Given how it could have worked and then what we got here, I'm not sure why this movie got made. And I'm not sure who put the money forward to have this made, unless it was, Bill Finger was a driving force behind it. Of course, I can't find out a lot about it. I do know that it was produced by Ralph Desiderio and written by Bill Finger, and it was filmed around New Mexico. And of course, the issue of this one is that it got made, and then it was originally filmed in 1972. And then it sat on the shelf pretty much in distribution hell, waiting to be picked up for like 4 years until it was released directly to television in 1976. So, it's a failure in every single way. It's cheap in I cannot express how cheap this fucking movie is.
Yeah.
This is cheap. I mean, cheap.
Aaron Reese says an overextended episode of The Outer Limits, and I agree. I would actually agree with that.
Just as a people talk, well, maybe it's because it was released in 1972. At least
there wasn't any misogyny in it. I mean,
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, you go back and look in 1972 and see some of the films that came out, like, oh geez. What was Son of the Blob? That was the 80s one. No, that was 1972. Son of the Blob came out. So you had some other films out there. That Night of the Lepus, that was the most amazing one that came out in 72. Maybe it was just 1972 was a really shitty year for movies, because that's Frogs came out in 1972.
Frogs was awesome. Don't shit on Frogs. Mustacheless Sam Elliott is just the. I mean, come on, he was just the hotness.
That's.
Well, let's see the showcases right there, because if you look at even low, Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes out in 1974. There are low budget films that came out around the same time that look better.
Yeah, Last House on the Left.
Right. Well, I mean, given
that's no excuse for the year.
Given everything,
Wrangler, that's another one that came out in 72.
So the movie is definitely a failure in virtually every single way, and it was it's kind of in line with like movies like the giant spider invasion or the Crater Lake Monster. It's just kind of like these monster movies that were just generated in order to put stuff out there. The problem with this one is that, at least with movies like the Crater Lake Monster or the giant spider invasion or various other like creature features that came out at the time, more effort was put into them. Yes, Night of the Lepus was yes. Aaron Reese says Night of the Lepus is a masterwork of meta commentary.
Right. Yeah.
The kicker about this one, and what gets me, is that the film was a colossal failure on almost every single aspect, from pre-production all the way to post. That this movie was fucked up. This movie, like, everybody dropped the ball in almost every single way. From the aspect ratio they shot in, to the way they lit their scenes, to the sets that they used, to the special effects, to the ADR in some sequences, everything was bad. And you got to wonder, money went into this, and I'm looking at this from a business perspective. So money goes into this. And say I'm a producer, and I'm producing this movie, and then I'm seeing dailies every single day, because the process doesn't change. No matter how small your movie is, you shoot stuff that day, then you watch the dailies to see what's going on, to see if you need to determine reshoots, or how you're going to edit it, you make notes. This is part of the process. The problem is is that you've got the director, you've got the editors, you've got the producers watching these dailies saying, we're signing off on this, that we're giving this the thumbs up. Either nobody on this fucking movie knew how to make a movie, or like it was like, well, I guess this looks good to me. But you look at the names involved, and no, these people have experience in the industry. It wasn't like this was their one and done. They all come from a background. So the question is, how did this happen? And this is my theory, is that they started the film, and it started out literally day one so fucking bad. I can't confirm this anywhere. It starts out so fucking bad that they deliberately turned into the swerve. It's like, whoa, this is going to be really bad. So you know what? Let's just
lean into it.
Just lean into it. Lean into it and just own it. Just own how bad it's going to be, and just go with it. Which is why the movie doesn't. It actually lacks the sense. It doesn't take itself that seriously. It doesn't.
Better not.
Well, it's like one of the really nervous things, and I always get nervous in terms of directing or doing cinematography, is when you get the first shot. You can talk and you can go through and you can process. Okay, well, this is where you're going to shoot, and this is like your lighting and all. Everything's like in the. But when you finally actually get to set on day one, and you light it, and you film your first shot. And then now at that point, the actual style is locked in. Like, this is what your film is going to look like. And I'm always super nervous about the very first shot. And hopefully it's like, okay, this looks good. This looks how I want it to be. And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the project. Right. And you get something like this where you finally go and you set it up and you look at it. And it could be something where it's so bad that not necessarily steer into the curve, but it's so bad that everybody gives up.
Yeah, we can't fix it.
Okay.
There's no fix here. Just fucking finish it.
Yeah, it's like we're already here. You committed however many days it took to shoot. It's like we're already committed for 3 weeks, for a month of shooting this thing. Things looks atrocious. It's bad. So it's like we stuck here anyway. Let's just get through the process.
Right. Yeah. Because, I mean, everything along the lines. Once those first ones come in, you realize that your lighting is bad, your sound is bad, you've got to do ADR in some places, and the ADR comes out bad, your writing is shit, and...
You should know your writing is shit beforehand, right?
Exactly. But then again, maybe just the acting was just that fucking bad. Well, because bad acting can make good writing sound bad.
Yes, but good directors and good editors can make bad acting look.
Who said anybody on this was good?
Well, that's the point that I was. Again, that's the point that I was trying to make here. Is I don't think anybody was looking at the dailies, not when they were supposed to, not on a daily basis.
Right.
They were treating dailies like they were probably monthlies.
I mean, that could have been it. If you think of it's 72, so shot on actual film. You have to kind of run it through and process it to watch it.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just like, we know what we're doing. And then
we've done this before. Right.
So that kind of leaves the big question. Okay, when you're trying to make a monster feature, and I don't know, I see what they were trying to do with the lizard monster in and of itself. The problem is that the lighting was so dark, it was like watching Godzilla again. You could barely see the damn thing, and it was like, come on, guys. At least have moments where you have really, really solid light. At least do something similar to like what they did in The Descent. You know, where we've got at least the key moments that are well lit. But I think that monster in and of itself didn't look good under any circumstance. So they had to go the silver bullet route, where they rarely ever lit the werewolf, because when it was fully lit, it didn't look like a werewolf. It looked like a fucking bear. So it looked silly. So instead of doing that, everything was just dark. But then again, that's poor lighting in and of itself, because it wasn't just the monster that was poorly lit. Everything was poorly lit. The light scenes were not well handled, and of course the dark scenes were even worse. So, because they felt like literally filming at night takes a lot of planning as far as your lighting goes in order to convey darkness while still being able to see everything.
Yeah.
So it was extremely.
And because we're talking about in terms of filming in darkness, and so one thing is you get film strips that have certain sensitivity. They're what's called like ISO. So you'll get a number, and based off of what your shooting conditions are that day is the type of film that you would use.
So you use a film strip that's a little bit more sensitive to light for your night scenes on it. Well, with this, they probably got the cheapest, which is maybe for and that's all they have to work with.
Right.
And it shows.
It's just, this is where the question comes in. The question ultimately comes in is that when you are directing something, because as the director, you're not always involved in it from the creation of the project itself. Typically, professionally, directors are brought in after the fact. We have the studio, they have a project, they're ready to go with it, and then they start putting everybody into place. And so then they find a director that they either, they have on contract, or they owe a particular picture to, or they have an upcoming, a new director that they need to throw a film
or
to.
In this case, a director they really don't like.
Or a director they don't like. And so they throw, so they say, okay, so, we're hiring you for this movie. And he says, okay, I'll direct this movie. He gets in there and things start falling. They realize things are not.
The wheels have fallen off.
The wheels were never on.
Yeah, right.
He came out in the bus. The bus was wheelless in the dirt on jacks.
Right.
Okay, and and fucking
the fuck I want to carry on the wheels fire.
This is on fire. It's on jack. You walk in day one, you're locked up.
Yeah.
Well, the director got to the set and realized, like I said, the wheels are off the van, and fucking Roger Corman is running off with your goddamn rims into the night to use them on his production. So at least they're more enjoyable over there.
Right.
So the problem being, when you are in that position, whether you're a director or actors don't really have much power once they're contracted to a movie. They pretty much have to do what they do. The only thing that could get them off is if something happens and they feel upset, they feel in danger, or something along those lines. But typically, actors really don't have the power when they're already contractually obligated. But directors do, and so do producers. A producer or a studio can shut a movie down in a heartbeat, given the right circumstances, because for them, from their point of view, it's all about money.
Yep.
So when you find yourself in the seat as a director, okay, and you sit here, you watch what's happening in front of you, you look at the tools you have to work with, and you feel like you're in fucking Apollo 13, where you have to build the fucking the filter out of the components in the damn shuttle, in the fucking LEM. Okay, I myself have never found myself in this position, solely because everything I've ever directed, I was also producing, and I was supplying. So I was in charge of everything. So any failures were directly on me, because I was the one doing. I was the above the line, like everything above the line. And so, but in this situation, that's not the case. So the question then becomes, as a director, what do you do? Do you just sit back, enjoy the ride, or?
It's kind of funny because Eugene and I were recently on a project that didn't really have a director, and the wheels started to fall off the bus often. And I mean, credit to Eugene and myself. Not to say that people were like just. No, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit about these people. You know what I mean? It was just certain things happen that put people in a bad position. Where Eugene is supposed to be. He's supposed to be protecting the quality of the shot, and now he's being pulled away from that to make sure that like the direction is going the right way, right? And I'm supposed to be protecting the quality of the lighting, and I'm being pulled to help Eugene with shot list and direction. So, it seems awfully strange when you would think that these people would have the ability to put on multiple hats in a situation like this,
right,
to be able to get the project done. And done in a way that's going to be, it's not just passable, but at least presentable.
Yeah.
So I've actually been in this situation, and it was a bad movie. And I'll admit, I directed. It was a bad movie. Back it was about 5 or 6. It had a little bit of funding, and
it's good when you can admit it.
Oh yeah, it's always terrible. The only thing I got of it, the poster looks amazing. I love that poster. It is. That poster's on my IMDb, and I'm like, look at that. People are like, man, can I see it? I'm like, no.
No.
Yes, you just did. You saw the poster. That's all.
That's it on it. Hey, and like I said, it was a lot of really, really bad stuff. It was a great learning experience that I was able to learn a lot of lessons, and it's helped me out in films since then, where even with the one Johnny was talking about is recognizing a few of those things and we were able to work through, and we're still able to get some really good footage, and it looks really great, and I'm really excited about it. But I mean, this project came down. It was a lot of miscommunication to begin with. I was used to working with there were still good people on it, but a certain quality of people, and some weren't able to deliver what they said they're able to deliver. Get to the point where it's just like you're almost in like salvage mode. Like you're like, okay,
yeah,
it's not going to be great, but maybe we can get scenes out of it. Okay, well, we don't have a great complete scene. Maybe we can get some good shots. And I have like a couple of shots still on my reel. They're fantastic. But other than that, and it sucks it out of you because you want something good and you want to carry your weight and you want to do a good job. And when it's basically the plane is going down or the ship is sinking, and no matter how hard you're working,
turn
the
it
ship
upside
is
down.
still
Remember,
sinking.
that's all I gotta do is turn it upside down.
Yeah, I was
See that's my gut instinct. My gut instinct is just when it's going down like that, just the band played on, man. Just just do that, just like.
That reminded me of a comedian I saw. Sorry, go ahead.
It sucks when it's going downhill and you have like 5 production days left.
Yeah.
And you're just like, because you still got to get up early. You still got to set up the gear. You still got to go through everything. You're just like, oh, that's where it can be draining.
Do you think we need a pickup shot? No.
No,
What are we going to pick up? The entire fucking movie? Just can this shit and get out of here.
I did want to address, because Aaron, he asked a question. Did they just write above their budget? In the comment section.
Maybe. I feel like the 70s, though, they were giving out a decent amount of money to make films, even to unknown and newer filmmakers, especially on creature features, because we had a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah,
I just think it was a mismanagement. Yeah, go ahead.
It's difficult to say because unless the money they got, a lot of that was embezzled out of the friggin' production fund, which happens a lot. Back in the day, especially, it happened a lot where you'd get like so much money in order you secure like maybe 1 million, 1.2, 1.5, and then all of a sudden you find out you're only working with 750 because one of your producers ran off with most of your budget. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, hookers and blow. Yeah,
hookers and blow. Yeah, or something of that nature happened. It happens. I mean, I don't know, but something definitely went wrong in this movie. And it was bad. So watch it for the enjoyment of just being, man, this movie is bad, and you could probably pick up your iPhone and shoot something a hell of a lot better.
Yep.
But there's a question that begs to be asked. Eugene, what is that question?
Is there anything worse than this? There are a couple. I enjoyed Manos Hands of Fate better. The Room is definitely better.
I did not hear that.
Night of the Lepus is better. There's so many, the fucking Day of the Triffids was better than this. There's so much that's better. That's so much better. But yes.
What was that super crock of shit that movie was better than this?
The asylum movie that they don't even want on their Wikipedia filmography. Super crock. At least in that you can see the monster.
Yeah, you don't want to though.
I mean, there's one movie, I think it's like After Season or After Fall Season or something. This movie came out in 2009, and they had a paper-built MRI machine, like an MRI, and it's in a hospital, and they lay a patient down to put them in an MRI, and it's fucking notebook paper with tape, like taped up to look like it. And this is the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Wow. You do what you get. You can do what you gotta do. Sarcasm says this makes Lamageddon look like an Oscar nominee, and Travis Brown says the Beast of Yucca Flats is terrible. Actually, no, I like the Beast of Yucca Flats, and I actually thought it was better than this.
I do. I'm also a big fan of Tor. So I loved his monsters. I loved that he was a go-to in that era of filmmaking. What was it? Damn it, Ed Wood, Plan 9 from Outer Space. I thought it was better than this. Ivy Gentry says Barn of the Blood Llama was probably better. Angel Rivera says Chupacabras was better. We didn't ask what was better. We said what was worse. What is worse?
We're answering your question. They're
saying nothing.
Aaron Reese says William Shatner's audition reel. Now that's some shit. I'm telling you, I watched this fucking August Underground was not as bad as this as fucking Track of the Moon Beast. This one was bad. Cindy Sue, good to see you, Cindy Sue. Thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Shinju says Twilight. Twilight was worse.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Because of sparkly zombies.
Oh, fantastic. Triggered Limey says Splinter. Splinter was worse. I liked Splinter. If we're talking about the same movie.
Teenage Mutant Ninja. Oh, no, sorry.
No. Shut up. Angel Rivera says, we have officially hit rock bottom with this movie. There is nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, I think that's...
Rock bottom, challenge accepted.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
No.
All right. Johnny.
Yes.
What we got for our next one?
I feel like we staggered our good movies with our bad movies. It was a good one, bad, really bad one, a good one, and then we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to jump ahead a few years to the 1983 American psychological slasher film, Psycho number 2. Roll that beautiful slasher footage.
I have a petition here signed by 743 people against Norman Bates' release.
Madam, please sit down. This matter is being represented by the district attorney.
Norman was not convicted of murder. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Don't you realize they're going to release a homicidal maniac?
I ask you to sit down, Mrs. Loomis.
It's all too obvious. Our courts protect the criminals, not the victims.
Norman Bates is judged, restored to sanity, and is ordered released forthwith.
It's 22 years later, and Norman Bates is coming home.
I own a motel not too far from here. And you'd be welcome to spend the night in one of the empty rooms if you'd like.
Thank you.
Good night, Mary.
And he's back in business.
Who is this? My mother is dead.
What is that?
I'm telling you, it was a note on that wheel for my dead mother.
Norman, it couldn't be your mother. It had to be someone else.
But trust her. She would never do anything to hurt me. No. She'll kill you. I know she will. No, I won't do that. You can't make me kill her.
22 years later, Norman Bates is home. Psycho 2.
It's starting again.
All right, so we have Psycho 2, again, American psychological slasher film directed by Richard Franklin, written by Tom Holland, not that Tom Holland, starring Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles, Robert Loggia, and Meg Tilly. It is a sequel. Now, it's not directly based. There was a Psycho 2 novel, but this movie is not based on that novel. So basically, 22 years after his killing spree, Norman Bates overcome his illusions, so we think, and accepted that his mother is dead. Seeing as how he was never officially convicted of murder, he was found not guilty due to reasons of insanity. They released him after he was deemed mentally stable, and like you do, you go back to where the crimes were, you start the hotel over again, thinking it's going to be a success, and you creepily invite, strange young women over and yell goodnight to them at the hallway, and not creepy at all, by the way. Yeah, and you got people that like to come in and mess with Norman. Norman was just, he was living his best life, and the people came in and fucked with him and drove him crazy again. And all of a sudden, who's killing? Is it Norman? Is it his mother? Is it somebody else? Who knows?
Raven Darkster says, "Oh yeah, he's all better." I think
you can come sleep in my hotel room.
And sarcasm.
No.
Actually, I love both Tilly sisters, and I agree. Both Tilly sisters are amazing. Jennifer and Meg are amazing, but only one can act worth a damn, and Meg Tilly is the one who can act worth a damn.
Oh, Meg Jennifer Tilly is great actress.
Jennifer Tilly is great for the work that she does.
Voluptuous roles that she's had.
Yes,
but Anthony Perkins was amazing.
It's like we're gonna take the worst part about Jennifer Tilly and put her in a film, a bunch of Chucky movies.
Wrote in the last name, Psycho 2, Electric Killaloo. So this one, okay, so I will give it this. I was really, really impressed with Psycho 2. And this is a good movie.
Yeah.
And the one thing that struck me, okay, so looking at the history of this, Psycho in and of itself, and Alfred Hitchcock, Anthony Perkins, and probably
tough
his
movie
great,
to follow.
A very, very hard, difficult movie to follow.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic kill scenes ever, the shower scene with Janet Leigh, and of course, just
is the most iconic kill scenes ever.
And some would argue probably it's like the start of the slasher genre in itself. Like, I think an argument can be made for that.
I think that scene is probably, especially in any kind, is referenced. That scene, the soundtrack there, it is referenced more times than any other. I think maybe only second to the Howl references. I think only Howl has more references than Psycho Kill, either the wee or that scene, the shower scene or whatnot.
Yeah, it's definitely a top. I'll probably even throw in Here's Johnny from The Shining. In terms of just references, but that kill, you're right, that may be the most iconic kill ever in a film.
Yep.
So what got me on this one was two major things. Was one, first and foremost, the performance of Anthony Perkins in this. Anthony Perkins, what he brought to this extension of Norman Bates' character, because in the first movie, Norman Bates is deep within the recesses of his delusion. Right. His mother is literally an alternate personality of his. He switches between the two. The dude is 100% certifiable, which is why he goes to a mental health institution instead of prison, and he was there for 23 years. So
I do need to bring up something that I saw on the side. Tony reminded me that in the original Psycho, that shower scene was almost cut, not because of the graphic nature of the kill, but because there was a flushing toilet.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
The fucking censors at the time, I don't know what was going through their heads. Yeah. But this particular one, like I said, the performance of Anthony Perkins and what he brought to the role as an extension of Norman Bates. Norman Bates literally brought it to the point where he is I would say almost healed. Like he is almost rehabilitated. His psychologist Robert Loggia. We need to say that correctly. Robert Loggia. It's a Family Guy joke. But I really enjoyed what he brought to it, as far as, and it comes across, and this is just one of the hallmarks of a brilliant actor, because Anthony Perkins really was. There's these moments is Norman's almost childlike state.
Yep. In
that he is so emotionally regressed in Psycho that he is still a little boy. He's still the little boy that in Psycho 4 they actually kind of go. It's a prequel movie. It actually goes into his backstory. But in Psycho 2, he's free of the delusion, and he is now back in that almost little boy state. Right. And I think it was key moments. One of the most key moments is when the sheriff comes along, because they found the luggage of Mr. Toomey, which is Dennis Franz's character at the beginning of the film. They find his luggage in the swamp, and then they go to people disappeared in the swamp. Norman Bates did this before. That's where he dumped the bodies in the first movie. So we need to talk to you, Norman, about what's going on. And they bring him out there, and he's like, "Sure, let's go for the ride." And he jumps into the car. When they drive up to the crime scene, his hands are on the window,
he's looking out like,
Yeah,
oh,
like a little kid. Yeah.
It was little moments like that got me. Anthony Perkins' performance in this was magnificent for the nuance he brought, for the choices he made. Was absolutely stunning. And second was the level of care that was brought to this movie. Rarely do you see a sequel treated with the care that a franchise deserves. 1960, the original Psycho comes out. It becomes one of the most intense slasher films of all time. One of the most iconic movies ever made. And then you have Universal, which recognizes what it's got. And
good night, Limey.
Oh, have a good one, Limey.
Good night,
Thank you so much for hanging out. So you have Universal Pictures, knowing what they have, knowing the legacy they have, the legacy of Anthony Perkins' performance, the legacy of Alfred Hitchcock, this movie in and of itself. They don't want to ruin that. So great care was taken in doing this movie over 20 years later. The Psycho house on the Universal lot, which is still there to this day, making sure that set looked just the way it was supposed to be, making sure everything was set up, the care in the script, the care in who they were going to cast, everything was done so well. This is how you do a fucking sequel. And it's so it was nice to see that, because we don't see that these days. We just honestly don't see this level of care taken for sequels.
I think the reason why this sequel works so well is because it was 22, 23 years after the original, right? So people had plenty of time to see other movies in between. Like nowadays, sequels come out too quick.
Right. Okay.
Because like, oh man, this movie that I just watched, the first one it's still on my mind. It was great. It was amazing.
We're gonna capitalize on the energy.
Yeah, we're gonna capitalize on the energy, and they put the sequel out, and then people are like, man, this doesn't make me feel the same way as this first one that I saw. There are very few movies that the sequels are better than the first entry. Psycho 2. I don't know if it's better than, but it's as good as. Because of the storytelling, because of the way it goes. You look at Home Alone and Home Alone 2. I thought Home Alone 2 was so much better than Home Alone 1. It's so much funnier. The New York, right? They were actually able to elevate. That is so difficult to do in sequels. And I think what works for Psycho and Psycho 2 again is because it's 20 plus years after the fact, and they're able to use that as a plot point. It makes some people like, why 20 so much? Well, it makes sense because he's been getting right in the head, and this is about the time that, if you were mentally unstable, here we are. It just makes sense. They use it as a plot point. And the way they were able to hide and make you question, is it Norman Bates? Is it his mother? Is it, what's going on? Because he's got this love interest that's defending him, saying, no, it couldn't have been him. Your mother's dad. And then the way that, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that there are other people, other players involved in trying to
very Hitchcockian.
Yeah, right.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and that was the most amazing part about it, is you were able to capture that Hitchcock flair without Hitchcock being there. So, like I said, this was an excellent film.
Yeah, I like this because this predates, you're right, the necessary for sequels, because it's always a quick sequel.
Money.
In terms of actually waiting until you actually get a good story. To waiting to, it's like, we actually have a story that we can tell, that we can build upon this. Something very similar to, for example, Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's another one that elevated. Yeah,
that just elevated, and there's 10 years in between the two, so they're able to wait until they got a solid story, until you actually, and so instead of, when you watch a lot of sequels, you're like, this only exists to make money. We all know it only exists to make money.
Mm-hmm.
These older ones, the Terminator 2, Psycho 2, The Godfather 2, no, we actually have a story to tell that we're going to build upon.
When you have all the elements, and it felt very much, correct me if I'm wrong in this, but it felt, I got a very, and this is way before the area of Guy Ritchie, but I can see where Guy Ritchie gets the kind of feel for his films, where multiple threads are coming together towards a big climax. And I got that sensation big time. I now see how many movies, even more movies, have taken influence or inspiration
from the Psycho franchise, from moments in it. And I wanted to ask you guys on this one. And this was, the film was so deftly made. And I think no more than that, it didn't rely on jump scares. There are the moments where it's like, or like this, but they're not designed to get you to reflex jump, to startle you. It's meant to be like, that's horrific. I'm gonna straight up. There were 2 kills in this that kind of took me by surprise. The Meg Tilly's mom, her in the basement. That one took me by surprise. I was like, holy shit. For 1983, I was kind of like, damn, that was just like, whah! And I was like, and it was so well executed. When she's like screaming and it's just boom, like, I was like, holy shit, that one. And at the very, very end. Because one of those plot threads, we've got like the mother-daughter team that are working against Norman. They start out, then we have the split in their dynamic where the daughter is now all of a sudden in defense of Norman. The mother still wants him to go back by driving him insane. We have the woman who is claiming to be Norman Bates' real mother. We have the psychologist in himself who's trying to defend him. We have the sheriff who is wary of everything. And then we've got Norman who is slowly but surely cracking under the pressure.
Back. Yeah.
And everybody is so focused on their own bullshit, nobody sees what's going on with Norman. Except for Norman. Norman realizes, it's happening again.
Yep.
And, it's like, and that's the whole point, is that, it's like, you're so busy worrying about what you're trying to do, you're not realizing that you are being successful in what you're doing and unleashing this thing upon the populace again. And and then, of course, that last moment in the kitchen. I was like, oh, that one got me. I was like, holy shit. And how many people remembered that down to the fucking tea can. That moment, down to that one particular tea can, I was like, when he was like, when he opens up the cupboard and he's like, yeah, no. And then, because that's the one he had poisoned to kill his own mother. And
little details.
And 20 years down the road, not many people might remember that. People, oh, that's right. That's the one that he uses, because he does it again. Then, of course, he picks up the fucking coal shovel. It was like, I was like, oh my god!
I got a bunch of poison. Let's do the shit the right way.
And I got the sense that the whole scene, he does that. The whole scene, he's meek. The whole movie, he's meek. He's unsure. He's gregarious. He's trying to be nice to everybody and
be the good guy that
he knows he can be. And then in that last moment, his heartbeat didn't raise one iota when he did that.
Yeah.
Pow! Done. Back to business.
It's like a Sunday
usual.
Stroll.
A Sunday stroll. I was like, holy! This. It's been a long time since a movie's kind of caught me off guard, and the subtle, nuanced editing and direction. And the timing and lingering on shots, because you don't want to linger too long, and you don't want to linger too short. You want your people to be able to recognize what they're seeing, but don't let it go too long, because then you spoil it. This was top notch from top to bottom. Direction, writing, acting, editing, cinematography, lighting, sound, everything fired on all cylinders. Even those iconic shots of the house up there in the background and the path leading up to the house, and oh man, it was both nostalgic and new, and a sense of new territory. I fucking love this movie way more than I thought I would. I was like, damn.
It's really intelligently written, directed. The storytelling is great. Somebody asked what I think it was David Cernick said. What about the Vince Vaughn version of Psycho, the remake? I've said this before. It's a soulless remake, but Vince Vaughn is terrific in it.
You know what I realized, and I agree with you, but and I think you guys might agree with me on this one. What was different was Vince Vaughn is not Vince Vaughn's performance. It's Vince Vaughn's physicality.
Yep.
Vince Vaughn is a big dude.
Yep.
And he's broad. If Vince Vaughn gets up in your Vince Vaughn gets up in your face, that's an intimidating guy. Yep. Anthony Perkins is in no way intimidating.
Right.
There's moments in there when he is so frail looking that you couldn't even expect that the sheer extremity of violence that can come out of this dude could possibly be there. Because it doesn't look like he has the strength. It doesn't look like he's got the, it's like,
It's like
he looks like a twig.
a stiff breeze would knock him over. And that's what's terrifying about him is that what's hidden behind that.
Yeah.
And I think the scene when Norman is sitting in that chair, is sitting in his chair, he sits like a boy, like a little boy who's in trouble, with his elbows in, closed off, shoulders kind of tensed up, because like he's expecting to be reprimanded of something, and he gets that very frail look on it. When Vince Vaughn was sitting in the chair, he still cuts an imposing figure.
Look like a fucking linebacker.
There's nothing slight about him, so I was kind of like,
It was during the smallest. He was real thin for Vince Vaughn, but even still, he's a big fucking dude.
Right.
How people are going to mistake. Like, that's one thing I didn't like about the Psycho remake, unless his Norman's mom all of a sudden was a fucking Amazon. Like, how are we going to get this 6'5" guy to play in his mom's pajamas? I don't think so.
But this is. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just go with the Psycho remake real quick. It's just like, if it wasn't shot for shot.
Yeah, I agree.
That if they actually took some choices and maybe even show some of the events we already know from a different perspective, that could have been interesting.
Yeah,
actually taking some chances, taking some risks, and then maybe revealing a little bit more of the story here and there for a remake. That would have been so much better, and using Vince Vaughn's performance, that could have added so much.
Yeah,
but they just never took a chance.
Yeah,
that originally Anthony Perkins turned down the offer to do this movie, and he only accepted after he read Tom Holland's script. Which actually I could see why, because the script was fantastic. I mean, that guy channeled Hitchcock for the script that he turned in. So I'm glad that Perkins came back to play the role. And then he came back to play it, I think, 2 more times in Psycho 3 and Psycho 4, and then of course we got Bates Motel, or Bates Hotel after this. And but did you know that the interesting thing I found out is that if Perkins had not signed on to this, Christopher Walken was being courted to be the recast.
That would have been interesting.
And that could have been interesting.
That could have been interesting.
Here's my mother. She's she's leaving a note in the diner.
It could have been it definitely, but a fantastic film, and everybody needs to see it. It only adds to what Hitchcock created. It takes nothing away from it. I love the fact that it opened, and I know it's iconic, and it would almost feel cash grabby if it wasn't over 20 years later, where we go back and we see that iconic scene, the iconic shower scene with Janet Leigh, juxtaposed against the courtroom, the courtroom determination that he is free, that he's going to be free. The court has determined that he is rehabilitated and he is free to go, and they say yeah, they're about to free this guy, but remember what he did. Put those two together in that moment. Oh, it was fucking brilliant direction. Such good stuff.
I almost don't want to stop talking about this movie because it means we have to go to the next movie.
The next movie wasn't terrible. But let's go on because we don't want to run out of time.
That's fair. All right. So, seeing as how we've had tons of Psycho entries, my question to you: what is your favorite Psycho entry? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or was it the Hulu series? Was it Hulu series?
The I think it was it Hulu? Was it Showtime?
I think it may have been Showtime. I can't remember. Either way,
Bates Motel, or was it A&E?
Either way, which one was your favorite? Let us know in the side chat, in the comments down below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com, where Alex needs pooping reading material.
That was A&E. Bates Motel was A&E.
A&E, okay, yeah. I've got a fever.
I've got a fever. I call it my mother. All right,
jail, please.
Yes, I'll take us home. So the last movie that we're going to talk about tonight came out June 4th, 2021. It came out last year, and this is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, the third in the Conjuring franchise. Let's check out this trailer.
That excuse never worked for me.
Hey! You okay there?
Jesus. I think I hurt someone.
This is Ed Warren, here with Lorraine. All right, let's get started.
Residents of Brookfield were shocked this afternoon by the broad daylight murder of Bruno Sauls.
The court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
Whatever is going on, whatever happened that day, that was not Arnie.
It's a witch's totem. We think your family was cursed. And that connection's still open.
I'm only interested in reality.
But I can see things that your people can't. Something terrible happened here.
A master Satanist is not an adversary to be taken lightly.
She's doing it again. She's reaching out to the darkness.
Lorraine, you need to come back. Is saving him worth everything you have? Because that's what it may very well cost me.
Lorraine?
At least this one, the monster actually does something.
Oh, so The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Directed by Michael Chavez, screenplay by David Leslie Gordon McGoldrick, based on characters but created by Chad Hayes, and of course starring Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, Rory O'Connor, Sarah Catherine Hook, and Julian Hilliard. Julian, actually, it was awesome. Got to run into him at Texas Frightmare Weekend, which was an absolute blast because he was signing way up there after his performances in a number of films, like he was in Color Out of Space and, of course, in the WandaVision series. But he's an awesome little up-and-coming actor. I'll give him that. He was pretty badass in this. But, man, It's difficult. Okay, so it's so hard because... it's my personal opinion about this movie that kind of drives it down for me. But I will say this, at least the film, it visually looked good. It was better than some of the other films that have come out in the Conjuring universe. It looked better than Curse of La Llorona, better than The Nun. It was strong in that respect, but what I know about the characters portrayed in here, what I know about the actual events, like someone brought it up in the chat. Let me see. Someone said...
Based on a
Sarcasm said loosely based on a true story, and then Charlie Welch said loosely based on a true story in that it's set on Earth with people.
Yeah,
pretty much. And Joshua Lee allegedly based true story, so it's based on a very simple thing. There was a murder in Connecticut that was the first homicide in this town's history since the town was founded, and the individual, the defense was that they were possessed when the murder took place. Everything you see in the movie beyond that, none of that happened.
Nope.
Like, none of it.
No waterbed.
Yes. So none of that took place. But, apparently there was, and the idea was that the little boy was possessed, the demon jumped from the little boy to the guy, and then about a month later or so, almost a month later, that guy ended up stabbing someone to death and then blamed it on being possessed. So, and then this was the first time in American court record in which someone tried to blame a murder on being possessed by a demon.
Didn't work, by the way. Just so in case I'm putting it out there.
It didn't work. It did not work.
No ideas.
Did not work. I did love Dave Cernick. How did a devil get inside of a waterbed? Asking for a friend.
Ask Freddy Krueger.
Asking for a friend.
Ask Freddy Krueger.
So
that's my difficulty. First and foremost, like, you know, at this point, 3 movies into the Conjuring universe, despite how good the movie looks, how good the editing is, how good the special effects are, the care that is taken to provide a visual feast of like scary images and psychological stuff, whatever. The movie is unfortunately not scary, and I think that's just because we have
too much Conjuring.
It's kind of like how I feel about the Marvel universe right now. You know, I'm marveled out. I am conjuringed out.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's important to remember there's not just that there are 3 Conjuring films. There's not. There's that, La Llorona, the Annabelle. There's like 15 of them.
There's 3 Annabelle films. There's The Nun. There's I mean, they've expanded the universe to a massive thing.
Yeah, it's just, come on now. Let it die. Okay, stop conjuring that shit back to life.
Well, like I said, this movie was trying to conjure a scare. Was what it was trying to do.
Trying to conjure a fucking paycheck is what it was trying to do, and it did. It succeeded.
Yes, Jinju, I'm suffering from Warren Wearout, and not being out to my last name. I'm not related to these people in any. Yeah, I'm not related to Ed Warren, so
his uncle,
which is weird because it's the name of my uncle. It's so it literally is my uncle's name is Ed Warren. Is Edward Warren? My father's brother is Edward Warren. So
I am your father's brother's cousin,
sister's former roommate.
What does it make us? Absolutely nothing.
So that was the biggest issue. Is that I think Eugene, I think you might agree, as a filmmaker goes, it's just too much. At this point, we're just worn out.
Yeah, it's too much. Because when you think about, even with the Marvel films, they were all building up towards a fantasy. So it was like build up. It kept you invested because you knew that was going to be the end point, and then you had the Infinity War and Endgame, and then it's not like a build up point anymore. And I'm pretty sure comic book fans may be like, "Hey, we're building up to something else," but I don't know what they're building. And now it's like these loose, and there's not like an end game. It's not like with the Conjuring universe. It's not like it's building up to it showdown, or this is like the thing you're looking for, and they're dropping all these Easter eggs to build to one moment. You just have, this is just them doing their thing, and sure, they may reference here or there or something like that, but it's just like it's more like a, hey, here's another one.
Yep.
Here's another one. That's it. And we're kind of like, okay, that's cool.
The thing that kills me the most. Oh, go. I'm sorry, Eugene. I'm sorry.
No, I was just like, yeah, that's it. I've had enough.
Yeah. So the thing that kills me, and to piggyback on what you're saying, is it's so formulaic. They've got, well, this is how we're going to make a Conjuring movie. This is what it's supposed to look like. And this is what we're going to follow. This section, we've got A, B, and C. And A is going to be almost exactly the same. Like, you can go back in time. You can tell where the 3 acts change in every Conjuring film. You can just tell, right? And it's just so formulaic. I'm like, come on, guys. If you're going to tell me a story, yeah, tell it differently at least. Even if it's the same fucking story, just reverse the order. Start with the ending and then go to the beginning or something.
Like non-linear telling, yeah. Something to change it up a little bit.
Something to change up the thing, you know?
So, I mean, as far as it goes like that, if I mean, I will give this. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, a very talented, actor and
She's
actress.
not bad to look at.
And like that. I mean, the film in and of itself, as far as construction goes, as far as making a film, it works. I mean, everything. Yeah. There's a lot of care taken into it. The acting is good. The writing is serviceable. The film, the visual effects are really.
Sure. I'm not saying that those things are bad. Like, although they're not bad, it has good ingredients. It's the same apple pie we've been eating.
Exactly, and I think we're just worn out on it. So, and my biggest issue on this one, and this was even worse than before, because we've addressed before the issues. I have like personal issues with Ed and Lorraine Warren. I think that they were charlatans. I think that they took advantage of people who were in desperate states, and they fed off of people's fear. And I'm not a fan of the work that they did, because they helped to perpetuate an image of certain aspects of society which led to a lot of persecution. And I'm not a fan of what they did and the fallout from what they did. And a movie like this, and I've always said that the Ed and Lorraine Warren movies, the Conjuring movies, have kind of exploited the stories because they're centered around real events, and the people that were involved, what was it, the second Conjuring film, or actually the first one,
that family was real, and that family suffered horrible losses.
Yeah.
And the Warrens, in my eyes, exploited that. And of course, the films on top of that is almost like a double exploitation.
Right.
But I never felt that it was the exploitation felt even worse in this particular film, because real lives were ruined as a result of the actual events that were going on. And perpetrating it, not only tying like Satanism, there's all these mentions of witchcraft being tied into Satanism, and it's directly evil and it's against God. I would almost feel that these films had an agenda, that they were so exploitative, that the purpose was. I would almost think this was like a fucking PureFlix movie, and it was so overwhelming. It actually goes to take you out of the movie. It's like, damn, because we know that that's not the case now. We're far enough along away from Ed and Lorraine Warren's work. We know this is not the case, and it's difficult to divest yourself, to suspend your disbelief when you have the knowledge that we have today and the understanding we have today, and then you see these old backwater, very hardcore religious fundamentalist ideas being presented forth for the sure sake of a horror movie to exploit the story in which real people were affected. That bothers me.
So, not really on what you're talking about, but kind of, and I understand what you're saying. Absolutely, 100% agree. We're kind of exploiting, but when you use, so there are two things that you get when you use the based on actual events or based on true story, right? One is a good thing, one is a bad thing. One, you're letting people know, hey, this is actually, or you're telling people this actually happened. So you start getting, oh man, this could actually. Two, the suspension of disbelief is much more difficult in a based on true story film than it is in a not based on true story film.
True.
Because, this has actually happened. So now I've got to think about this film in context of the world that I live in. And for me, that was like, all right, cool. In a film, as long as I've said this before, that as long as whatever happens in a movie works within the world that the movie is built, I can suspend my disbelief. But when it doesn't, we're fucked. So if we're getting rid of that, now saying that whatever you're presenting to me has to work in the world that I know because it's based on a true story, now my suspension of disbelief is almost gone, and I can't believe the story that you're telling me. It's much more difficult. Yeah. Again, not talking about the exploitation of family members. That's just atrocious in itself. I think we should be doing that, but stay away from the based on true story bullshit, people. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
See, this brings up an interesting thing, and I thought it would have been better this way is if instead of actually having Ed and Lorraine and making it based off a true story and all this, what if you had The Conjuring and it took itself as a fictional thing?
Yeah.
Where they just had a fictional couple that investigated things. It was nothing based on anything, any kind of story, and everything was fictional. And then the series followed this couple on all
then you have then you have Insidious though, because that's what Insidious is. Lynn Shay's character and her team of investigators who go and they help with like these astral demons and shit like that.
Oh yeah, so exactly.
Right.
And the thing is I like The Conjuring, but I think Insidious is a better movie.
The Insidious franchise is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we don't have that based on true story bullshit.
They can do whatever they want.
Yes.
Right.
Again, if it works within the world that you've built, suspension of disbelief achieved. If it doesn't,
then the whole I know that the nun thing, and that's actually the nun thing was what like the Valak demon is actually derived from the Amityville Horror. That was supposedly the demon that was involved in that house, and then it goes like that. But I mean, it's obvious. We know now the Amityville Horror thing never took place. The house was not haunted.
No, that was just a guy who was trying to get out of a bad housing deal.
Yeah, basically he got the house cheap because it was a quintuple murder in it, and then he realized it was way too much to try and renovate, and he needed to get the hell out of it. So yeah.
Oh,
so yeah, this is the one that this one was almost too much. I would say it was almost too much for me. It was, and for somebody, this is weird because maybe it's because of my position on Ed and Lorraine Warren and the things they did, the people that they conned, because like Sarcasm saying, Ed and Lorraine Warren conned a lot of good but gullible people, and they did. People who were very, very desperate, people who were vulnerable, people who were sorry, Johnny, what's that word I'm looking for?
Preconditioned.
They were preconditioned to believe in a particular thing, and they're looking for explanations in that place. And then Anne Lorraine Warren, the demonologists, show up to provide that explanation, taking advantage of these individuals, feeding into their disbelief and their gullibility, and it's just aggravating. Unlike a movie like The Entity, where the woman was being assaulted, like physically and sexually assaulted by a ghost. The Entity was also based on actual events, and those events have yet to really be explained, which is interesting. But so much was changed about the movie that the core story is told, but everything around it was made up in order to protect her identity, protect the identity of her family, and of course, but still tell a very compelling and scary story. But in that, it doesn't go off of that. That was one example. I think there's a difference there. Is when you're telling one person's story, not the story of a bunch of con artists, which is what really, really aggravates me. So that's like I said, it's my personal opinion. I know there are people out there that love the Conjuring franchise. I'm glad that it didn't rely very heavily on jump scares. That I was like, oh, it's just gonna be jump scare fever again.
It did seem there's one positive is it did seem to kind of pull back from the jump scare stuff, which was always
nice. Which even Raven Darkstar said that it was like the Entity didn't feel exploitative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It told that woman's story with compassion and really showcased the terror that she experienced in that. So, and Aaron Reese says, Jesus, did you see what that demon did to this plumbing system? Always with the toilets.
But speaking of which, take a look. We're back in the shower, right?
We come full. So the shower scene, and I was thinking about like that. We were talking about No One Lives weeks ago. Shower scene in that one. The bad guy coming up and through the shower curtain and everything. So many movies take from it. Absolutely. Yep. But I want to ask this one. Given I don't think I need to digress any further on what I feel about this and how I feel the grossness of what I feel is the exploitation. I don't think we need any more Conjuring films. Give us some more Insidious films. Those are getting a little worn out as well, but I love Lin Shaye. I will die on that hill. I love Lin Shaye till the day I die. And we could use more Insidious films. But I want to ask the audience, does this go too far? Does this level of exploitation go too far for the sake of making a horror movie to try and make some money or to try and milk the most you can out of a franchise? I think that may also play into it. The fact that we got one Conjuring, little bit of exploitation. Second Conjuring, okay, we're doing a little bit more. Third, now we're just come on, guys, it's just getting out of hand. Maybe it's that. Maybe just we feel it so much because it's so kind of what's going on behind it. The scene's kind of gross. Let us know down in the comments below or in the live chat. Do you think that movies like this go just too far? Or are you cool with it? It's just like, hey, man, horror for the sake of horror? Fuck it. Let's just have more scares. Let us know. I'd like to hear what you have to say, especially weekinhorror@gmail.com. Yep. And because we're getting short on time, Eugene, we got the trivia question tonight.
All right.
Before
you jump into they are going to win a Week in Horror icon shirt. So the new icon shirt that I recently put up, I think the most of y'all have seen it. It has a name of horror icons with Week in Horror spelled down the middle. It's a thing that I made some time ago. But I put it up on the store, and we're going to give one away tonight to the winner of this trivia question. Let me make sure I pull up the live chat, and Eugene, take it away.
So the trivia question is, Track of the Moonbeast featured in what season of Mystery Science Theater 3000? Track of the Moonbeast featured in what season of Mystery Science Theater 3000? MST3K.
I feel like it could be all of them.
I've got the live chat up. Let's see who's got it. First one to answer gets a Week in Horror icon shirt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boom! Got it.
Why not? Just give it to him.
That's right. We got Travis Brown, who got the correct answer first, and the answer is season 10.
Season 10.
Fan-friggin-tastic. Congratulations, Travis Brown, one of our big badass trivia winners. I knew there's going to be Tony Regime said season 5. No, and Sarcasm said season 9, but yep, it wrote it the same. Went even further. Season 10, episode 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep, but yes, season 10 was the answer. Congratulations, Travis Brown. We will get that shirt printed and we will get it out to you ASAP. Congratulations.
All right. Is it that time?
It is about that time, yep.
We got to go home already? Oh, man. And that will bring another episode of Weekend Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening. We truly hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, check your pulse. Join us next week when we look back at the questionable remake of The Omen. That's an understatement. The terrifying Poltergeist #3, the original Conjuring, and the bloodily subversive Censor. We'd like to send a special shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help us make the Weekend Horror the incredible success it has become. Thank you all so much. We cannot put too much finer point on that. You guys are awesome. Really do appreciate it. Be sure to stop by Joshua Olsen's store, www.badsamurai.store. He does all of our amazing artwork on the show, and his designs are incredible. Be sure to go check him out. He's really cool. Old school chum of mine, known him for a long time. For more horror fun, be sure to follow us on all the socials where you get the daily splatter right into your feeds, and check us out at Digital Darkness. That's our new-ish YouTube gaming channel hosted by Alien X Gaming. Remember, you too can help combat the evil algorithm by dropping a comment, liking, subscribing, and smashing that bell as if it were a UA Bowl waving a new game adaptation script for all the latest updates from the show. Smash it. Come on now, you can do it. And lastly, if you love what we do here and you would like and are able to support our production, you can do so through our Patreon. Because we all go a little mad sometimes, you can show your Weekend Horror love by joining one of our subscriber tiers, join our fellow fanatics, slashers, possessed, and mastermind patrons for all kinds of special behind-the-scenes access to the Weekend Horror podcast. You can get in for as little as $1 a month. Come on now, let's do it. $1. But if Patreon is not your favorite stalking method, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can find trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, share your own content, and even interact directly with the crew, are down in the description. As always, sharing the show with the fans in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us further our goals of global horror domination. That's horror domination, not the Russian domination. Thank you all for being the greatest audience a podcast could have. I'm some fat guy.
I'm JL.
And I'm Eugene.
We'll see you next week. And remember, stay scared. Josh really just became a patron.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.